Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. It's 1090 Jake, man. I'm rocking with y'all, y'all rocking with me. And for this video, I've been waiting to do this one for a while. I like to put faces on these videos. If I'm speaking on somebody, I want to at least be able to pull up their mugshot just so y'all can see who I'm talking about, who I'm speaking on. And I accidentally came across this person's mugshot, and at first, I didn't recognize him. He looked like a Yu-Gi-Oh character in the face now. I don't know what this man looks like now, but when I knew him, 2012 inside of the Hillsborough County Jail, he looked normal, and his name was Ra-Ra. Now, Ra-Ra was from New Jersey, or at least that's what he said. He moved from Jersey down to Tampa. I don't even think he lived in the city of Tampa. I'm not even sure about none of that, to be honest with you. But Ra-Ra was pushing Treetop Pyru. And like I've said before, I didn't run across any other white bloods that said they were fully white inside of the Hillsborough County Jail. Oh, I got a sprinkle of Mexican, a sprinkle of Puerto Rican. Oh, I'm, 2% Cuban. It was always one of those types. He was one of those. He had a dash of Puerto Rican in there. I think it was through his mother. Last name was Vasquez, or her last name was Vasquez, or some shit, whatever it was, right? But that was obviously the thing that he pushed anytime black homies stepped down, like, yo, what's up? What you is? You all the way white? Nah, bro, I'm Puerto Rican, bro. And I'm over here like I'm Irish and Italian. What's up? What's happening? What you trying to do? But Ra-Ra was cool people when I met him. You know what I mean? He had already been down in the county for a minute. And he was an artist. He used to draw. And he could draw really, really well. And a lot of people would pay him to draw them stuff to send home to their family or draw up tattoos, things like that. He was getting magazines and he had the plugs on the magazines. So we would read like the Game Informer magazines, which is just like the new video games that's coming out. And this was back when I think Grand Theft Auto was just starting to get put in the magazines, GTA 5. Well, I got that from. He was cool people. He never gave me any weird vibes or nothing like that. Obviously, we embraced just as every other homie did. We had B-Dog in there. There was a couple of other homies that was inside of that dorm at that time. And I told a story about the punk that sat down on one of the homies' bunks. Well, Ra-Ra was there when that happened. The homie had to take off on the punk, and they both went to confinement, and we never saw them again. Now, it wasn't until Ra-Ra's court date that came up he started to tell me about his case. And Ra-Ra had been in there since September of 2011. I didn't go to jail until October of 2012. So he had been in there for a little minute. You usually don't sit inside a county longer than a year unless you're fighting a murder charge. Unless you're going psych. If you got like a petty case and you keep going psych, that'll push back your court dates. But Ra-Ra told me he had a murder. And I was surprised because, seeing him and peeping his vibe, he wasn't big, he wasn't intimidating. Not that that necessarily matters, but he had a cool vibe. I didn't really see him as somebody that would just kill somebody. You know what I mean? He got into it with a dude one time. He got into it with a black dude. The dude wanted him to draw something for his family. So Ra-Ra started drawing it, but then he went to checking the dude about, getting canteen, like, hey, bro, you finna hit, right? You gonna have this money? Because I'm not going to keep drawing this shit, and you're not going to have the money. And they kind of got into it, and Ra-Ra snapped. And the black dude backed down, and he was older and everything. He was probably like 28. Me and Ra-Ra were, 18, 19 years old at the time in the county? So I was able to see that he ain't afraid to put his foot down and speak up for himself, you know what I mean? But that didn't mean I thought he was a full-blown killer. And then he told me the details behind his case. And I was just like, what the fuck? I started looking at him differently. So what Ra-Ra told me, he had a friend. And this friend knew a transgender. And this transgender person would have the friend and Ra-Ra go over there and basically give them money and give them drugs to hang out. Now, according to the dates and everything, Ra-Ra was either 17 or 18 at the time that he met this person. And he met this person, this transgender, allegedly, through a Craigslist ad because the person was looking for a roommate. The only thing that's weird is Ra-Ra's 17, 18 years old, and this person's in their 40s, like 44, 45. So hearing that, I'm already suspect. You know what I'm saying? And I asked him about one of his tattoos because he had a jail tattoo on his arm, on his upper arm, big old letters that literally said, "No homo." What would possess somebody to go and get a no homo tattoo unless, you know, you're a victim of some type of sexual abuse or something weird along those lines? So he tells me one day he's at the apartment with his friend. They're hanging out, whatever. Like I said, they used to get paid for being in this dude's company. And Ra-Ra said all he remembers is waking up. And when he woke up, he was in this person's bedroom. His pants were pulled down. He was laying on his back. The way it was described to me was that Ra-Ra was drugged and raped. I don't know if he was like full blown raped, like prison style, or if whatever. I don't even really want to get into the details of that part. But his pants were down. Ra-Ra gets up, pulls his pants up. In the midst of whatever transpired, the friend was nowhere to be found. Ra-Ra dips, he leaves. The police end up finding him later in the day. Now, what I was able to read from the only 2 reports that are posted online, because none of his court records are available, which is really fucking strange for Hillsborough County. But from what the 2 reports said, is he was wandering around in this apartment complex, Ra-Ra. Came across the guy that he knew. They were inside of the apartment. A physical altercation took off. During the midst of that, the man was stabbed in his chest and in his face multiple times, leaving a trail of blood out of the apartment. The man went running for help. Police came. He was able to say he got robbed and then was air flighted to the hospital. The police searched the apartment, found a backpack with items that identified Ra-Ra. So they were able to get him later in the day, in which he admitted to the stabbing. And I'm not sure how he went about it, if he said it was self-defense, if he was attacked, whatever the case may be. But he told me all of this right before the court date. And I'm thinking to myself, man, this shit sounds funny as hell. You know what I mean? And I talked to another one of the homies that was in the dorm, and I was just like, bruh, you know about this case, bruh? You don't just trip and fall and end up in a room full of homosexuals and then just get caught with a transgender murder case. It doesn't... Things like that just don't accidentally happen. You have to be around a certain group of people and be partaking in whatever the fuck activity it is. And this is why when you're gangbanging, the simplest thing, like having a certain type of person moved into your cell, can create a rumor. Which is why you do not allow certain people in your cells, so you don't ever have to worry about a rumor like that starting. It's the same thing when you talk to the police. If a CO tries to talk to you in prison, you bring one of your friends with you if you can. If you can't, it is what it is. But if you have the opportunity to, you bring somebody with you, and that way they can vouch for and verify everything that's said between you and that officer. But the way it was spun to me was... he got date raped, I guess. He got drugged and raped and went at it with the dude, and the dude ended up dying. And Ra-Ra was charged with a 2nd-degree murder charge. He went to court. They offered him 15 years from what I was told. He rejected that. He was hit with 40 years. And the last thing I heard about him was he was crying in court. He never came back to the dorm after he was sentenced. I don't know what happened after that. I don't know if he went psych. I don't know if they took him to confinement. But I never seen him again. And then I came across his Facebook, which shows pictures of him from a while ago tattooing inside of prison. And I mean, I'm just going to be honest. He doesn't look like he's banging in prison. He put a post and said, people in red uniform, you know, it's supposed to be an acronym for Pyru, or pimps in red uniforms, because he's pushing Treetop Pyru. I highly doubt that he's banging blood inside of prison, just from what I was viewing. I don't know. He seemed like he would stand his ground in county, but the pictures in prison, he doesn't look the same. You know what I mean? He just doesn't look the same. He doesn't look the part. And then I seen he went and tattooed all this Egyptian Yu-Gi-Oh shit on his face. And I'm just like, damn, what the fuck happened to you, bro? Like, what the hell is going on? And a part of me wanted to reach out to him to get the story straight. And I'll definitely do a part 2 if the courts end up giving me access to the affidavit, so we can actually hear from the court's perspective what transpired. But the thing about it is, I know he's not going to be honest if it was true. Because if he is trying to actively gangbang inside a prison, he's not going to be able to be honest and transparent with what took place. And if he isn't, then most likely he's entertaining punks inside of prison and partaking in the homosexuality inside of prison, since that's what he was originally doing in society. But man, this a fucked up case. I swear to God, I ain't never seen somebody go from this to that. He looked like a completely different person. The case was iffy as hell to begin with, and I wanted to get more into detail with it. You know what I mean? But he got from round right after I found out what it was, and it just doesn't make fucking sense to me. Like, who would lie and make up a story like that? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you usually have people that exaggerate stories to make it sound like they did some gangster shit. Oh boy, we robbed this dude and he had diamonds and ounces of gold in his house and blah, blah, and he grabbed a gun and I grabbed a knife, and like, okay, yeah, you was gonna hit big, like you robbed somebody. But who the fuck is gonna make up a story about robbing a tranny that pulled their pants down and you woke up after getting drugged? Who would make that up? And at the same time, what active member of any organization will put themselves in a position where a transsexual, transgender, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful if I'm using terms that I'm proper, I'm really not. This shit's kind of new to me. But who would put themselves in that fucking position to be getting paid by somebody for their company? You know, like, what is this, Backpage, bro? Like, were you putting ads, like, I'll come chill with you for $50 an hour? Like, so you was a hooker. I don't know. Shit crazy as hell, but when we get that information, we'll run that part 2. Until then, it's 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with y'all, like y'all rocking with me. Till next time.